Okay, here we go. We're going to get right into the stock market charts. What I'm going to point out is really kind of what's happening this morning. We're seeing a bounce off of from that big move yesterday. I want to point out the levels that I'm watching where I actually think we're going to start to roll over again. I don't think the downside is finished. Now, we'll start out here with the S&P 500. You can see that yesterday we basically gapped down. We broke the 50-day moving average and yesterday gapped way down here and sold all the way down to this red trend line that I have marked out right here. That's your weekly. If you look at the weekly trend line, again, use log scaling. That's important. Coming off the 2009 lows here, that's your trend line that we've held support all through here. We broke in 2018 and it's been resistance ever since. And you can see as we move into kind of 2021, they recovered that trend line and we've been kind of grinding along that trend line, not really moving super impulsively off of it, but grinding above it. And as I zoom in, you can see right there we came all the way down and we pretty much came close to tagging that. Didn't quite tag it, but close enough. Maybe my trend line's off slightly. And we've held that so far. So that's kind of what's going on right now. We're above that bigger trend. On the daily chart, you can see today we're gapping up and kind of moving higher. Where I think we're heading, I think we're going to go fill this gap. Or if we don't fill it, we're going to come close to filling it. So as far as I can tell, you can see it looks like we're starting to move up into filling the gap from yesterday. The dip buyers think that this was a dip buying opportunity. And again, I've talked about the dip buyers. The dip buyers are going to continue to buy the dip until they basically are proven wrong. And you know, we had a sizable dip yesterday, so they're going to step in. Doesn't mean that they're going to be right, but, you know, obviously you're going to get a little bit of a move on that dip buying. You can see the difference that I see from this move from the previous moves is I've got it circled. We hit the 50-day moving average. Really, if you look at it, we haven't really been below the 50 days since way back here, really, in October of 2020, but all of 2021, we hit the 50 there, you know, pretty much right there and there. And those last few times, we haven't really been below, but this looks a little different because we closed below it, and the second we closed below it, the very next day, big gap down, and now we're way down here. So I think we're going to run up, fill the gap, or come close, and then start to roll over again. And before soon, we'll probably be back on this trend line. And at that point, we'll need to wait to see if we're going to break that trend line or not. Triple Qs, same thing, you know, as I zoom in here. I'm really just looking for, let me grab this. I'm really just looking for a move back up close it to filling this gap. The gap sits there at about 373.40. No, it's about 373.30, right in there. So I'm looking for a move back into there. I don't know if we'll fully fill it. Maybe the sellers will step in early and then we'll start to roll over. So I am looking for that. The way I'm actually long triple Qs right now personally. I got long yesterday down near support, had it marked out down here, this support zone. This is where I closed my short and got long. Still long right now, and I'm looking for a move a little bit more into that gap, and then I'll probably close my long and reverse short. Now that's all active trading. You know, that's you know, kind of zigs and zags, moving in and out of positions. Long, you know, as a swing trader, I think we've started a downtrend, and we're likely going to continue with another leg lower in the near term. You know, probably weeks, you know, days, weeks, something like that. The next leg lower in Qs, I think we've got some support right here. You can see that we held it. We kind of held this area, held support here, held support here. A couple reactions right there. So I think that's kind of a minor support level, and that's about 350, 450. And then below that, I see this level down here at 342.55. It looks like, again, you know, it's right in that area. So those are levels that I'll be watching in, you know, if or when we get that next leg lower. Down to that 340, you know, that 342.55 area from where we're at, that's a drop of another 6-7%. So I think that's likely, and I'm going to be probably trading it for that. Again, just looking for that little bit more higher move, and then we'll start to roll over. Going back to gold. Gold continues to form what looks like an inverse head and shoulders. You've got the left shoulder here, the head right here, and then the right shoulder. Still holding that level of support. So I wouldn't want to, basically it would be pretty bad for gold if you saw a move below this 1756, any move that is going to stick, besides just a brief little intraday undercut or whatever. That would be pretty bearish. And then otherwise, I think we're likely going to hold and continue higher up to 1833. And then you're going to want to wait for a break of the neckline. So if we can break that right there, then the projected target is really you take the head all the way to the neckline here, and then you move it right there on the breakout point. And that sets us up, I think, for pretty much all-time highs. I mean, it's definitely in the area. Gets us up to like 1986 is what this one's saying. But I think if we're in that area, we're likely going to hit those all-time highs and probably higher. So things to watch for. So far, it's still looking good. Again, looking at the divergences, bullish divergences they remain. So that's really key to this analysis, is the fact that we've got some bullish divergences that are still there. Let me kind of zoom that in. Here's the you can see here, well, I don't know what's wrong with my chart, but basically we are trending higher. There it goes. We are trending higher right there on the PPO. And you can see that we were making lower lows in price right there. That was your last divergent low right there. So I would say we're looking good in gold, and we'll continue to watch these and the gold miners. Okay, let's look at best of breed in terms of the short trades that I have right now. GNRC. Again, we broke trend yesterday. Here's your trend line marked in blue. And we have negative divergence up here at the highs. You can see basically we've got that negative divergence right there. So we continue to make higher highs in the PPO. There's a downtrending right there in the RSI and the PPO while we were making higher highs in price. So there's divergence, and then there's your break of trend. Now, the break's not that impulsive, so that's the one thing we got to watch for. Usually you want to see a pretty impulsive breakdown. We're just not seeing that yet. They are kind of holding it in there. So the way I'm going to trade it is I'm going to stay short. I am short this right now. I'm going to stay short. But if they can recover this and hold above this trend line, then I'll likely cover that short trade and just exit it. Otherwise, I'm looking for a move down like that. All right, so still like it. Moving on. EMR. Okay, going with the theme that I think we're going to get a little bit of a bounce and gap fill. I think that's going to happen with some of these ones too. So here's EMR. I'm looking for a gap fill up to 95.99, maybe a slight overshoot, and then it continued to roll over. Again, we hit that support yesterday sitting at 93.50-ish. You can see that was a level. It was support here, and we fell straight down to it. So it makes sense that we get a bounce off of that. But I think that bounce is going to get sold into after we gap fill. And then we're going to roll back down to the trend line, chop around just for a little bit, and then break. All right. That's what I'm anticipating. Again, the reason why I sound confident in that direction is the fact that we've got negative divergences. And those have been building for quite some time. So those divergences are telling me that the momentum has dropped on this, and we are basically going to be downtrending, starting a new downtrend. So the way those work is you get a move down, you bounce. If I can grab the right tool, you move down, you bounce, and you continue lower, all right, in the downtrend. Moving on. Same with BlackRock. Looking for that bounce up to gap fill. It started to look like it was going to do it. Here's the hourly chart on BlackRock. They kind of started to bounce, but I'm still looking for a move up to about 875.71, somewhere in that area. And then we're going to, head lower and break. Again, we've already hit this support line here. We had a vertical or an ascending support line right there in red with negative divergences. We broke, got the sell signal, back test 1, back test 2. This was a kind of a back test. And now we have a pretty impulsive breakdown. So looking for a bounce and a continuation to the downside. Next level of support on this one down here this is a good level of support, 790.84. So I'd look for a move down in that direction after we bounce. AMG, you can see starting to kind of undercut the support right here at 148.75. That was resistance back through here, and then it was support on the daily chart, and then we fell right down to it, below it right now. They might try to, they might recover this, and we might get that bounce and potentially a bounce up to gap fill. So a move all the way up or close to, and then we break. So that's really the theme that I'm going with, is that we're going to get a little more continued upside, and then we're going to continue to roll over in what looks like the start of at least a correction. All right, more than a 5% drop, likely a 10, maybe up to 20% drop. Not calling for a crash, but definitely calling for a correction. And that is all I have for today. So guys, leave me a thumbs up on your way out. Check out the stock market technical analysis course, link in the description below. Catch you guys on the next one. Bye.